Hello, this is Xiaoqian, manager of the WCC Beihang site. Today, I would like to share with you a couple of milestones we made on MiniApp standardization in WCC since our last TPAC in September 2019. Let's move to the next page. MiniApp is a new format of applications which is extremely popular in China. If you remember, in one of the breakout sessions last year, we introduced to you a document named the MiniApp Standardization White Paper, in which the editors try to identify the use cases, requirements, and a few ideas to specify a unified MiniApp framework that will work across most of the platforms. Thanks to the suggestions and encouragement in that session, we decided to continue exploring these ideas in the next few months. Next page. So 2 months later, we launched a community group for MiniApp where people can incubate their ideas for their vision of MiniApp architect and discuss with a broader community in GitHub and attend conferences every month. Of course, we receive a lot of questions around the differences and similarity between MiniApp and the web platform, so the group maintains a FAQ document in GitHub. Let's move to page 4. We had a lot of discussions about what can be and should be specified. Members in the CG agree on that vendors, developers, and users will benefit if we are able to reach interoperabilities across the different MiniApp platforms and the convergence of MiniApp and the web platform. So the group came up with a few proposals around the basic architecture of MiniApp, including a URI schema proposal, which defines a URI schema syntax for MiniApp, and a MiniApp lifecycle document, which specifies the lifecycle events and how to manage these events. We also have a MiniApp manifest standard to specify a JSON-based manifest file, which helps to initialize a MiniApp. And there's a MiniApp packaging proposal to define the packaging structure. The group also has some conversation about MiniApp widget, which is a tiny page helps to transform message across different platforms. The editors provide explainer for each of these proposals. You can find more detail for these ideas if you click the link to the GitHub repo. Let's move to page 5. Thanks to the efforts of the editors, after a few months, these proposals were stable enough to call for review, so we raised several tech review requests. The tech published their review comments in July, where they emphasized the importance to keep the goal of one web and asked the group to try their best to align with the existing web technologies where possible. So we organized a MiniApp virtual meeting to identify the gap and find out possible solutions. We received lots of very productive feedback from the browser vendors on URI and decided to look into the current deep link technologies and work on a new solution to use HTTP protocol instead of creating a new one for MiniApp. On MiniApp manifest, following the suggestion from the tech, we have a joint meeting with the web app manifest editors and agree on extending the existing manifest file in the WCC web app manifest spec for the MiniApp features, and to have frequent conversation with the web app working group editors. Most of the questions we received are actually about the fundamental differences between the two types of runtime, but we don't yet have good answers for those questions. My colleague Fu Qiao is working on an unofficial document to compare the MiniApp runtime and the web app runtime. Moving to page 6. So what is the next step for MiniApp standardization? There are a few things we think are worth doing at the moment. First of all, we want to work closely with the other W3C working groups, especially the web apps, the web performance, the ping, and the YCG, and of course the other horizontal review groups, because we think it is important to support the goal of one web and the vision of web for all. We are also discussing a charter to create a MiniApp working group. Please tell us what you think by filing an issue in our GitHub report. But we also plan to keep the current MiniApp community group active and make sure new ideas can be incubated there. We are still having regular meetings every month. Feel free to join us, and we look forward to your suggestions and questions. Thank you.